Tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Good morning, Swarm, and welcome to Tinfoil Hat. You know I am. You know what I'm here to do. I'm here to join me as always, Xavier Guerrero, and on the ones and twos, Juicy Johnny, Jay Nice, Johnny Woodard. Bam!
Got some feedback on that on Broken Simulation. Some people not in love with that.
People
nickname.
love Juicy Johnny.
You love Juice Johnny.
Who complains? Who's
Who
complaining?
complains about Juicy Johnny? What, he's here?
Yes.
Okay, Juicy Johnny. Guys, listen, go to samtripoli.com. Grab your tickets for my live show. That's right. In June, the first weekend of June, May 9th, May 9th, the Comedy Chaos is live at the world famous Comedy Store. 2 shows, one at 8 p.m., one at 10:30 p.m. Bang, bang, pow, okay? And then June 2nd, I'm in Jackson, Mississippi, followed by Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Okay, 2 shows, both of those places, June 2nd, June 3rd. And then finally, June 8th through the 10th, where I'm in San Diego at the American Comedy Company. Guys, a lot more dates are coming. Go to samtripoli.com. You'll get all my videos, all my dates. You'll get all my t-shirts are there. Always looking for new t-shirts. Then we have premium content at rockfin.com. Plus, if you're looking for a way to invest, go find the Patreon. Go find the Cash Daddy Patreon at patreon.com/cashdaddies. Get in on it. $20 a month gets you daily investment tips from Howie Dewey. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, t-shirts, go to tinfoilhattshirts.com. I got tons of t-shirts there. Great way to support the show. All of our affiliates are there as well. All of our affiliates on samtripoli.com. Wise Wolf, AquaCure, Hydrogen Brown Gas, and, of course, Harley Ray. Just use the promo code SWARM15. Get 15% off. Nuke Social. You get on the Telegram. Nuke Social is the social media for Tinfoil Hat. We don't have to worry about censorship or nothing. And then all the free, we got radio show, a radio station, plus all the free content audio you could want. 7 shows I put out every week. And Union of the Unwanted, Punch Drunk Zero, Cash Daddies, Conspiracy Social Club, Broken Sim, and this show you're listening to. Anything else, guys?
Go to patreon.com since we get banned from everywhere else. So We Don't Smoke the Same is only on rockfin.com and Patreon for now. So go ahead over there.
Check out Broken Sim. It just came out. It's a good one.
Why don't you get on Rumble?
We're working on Rumble. We just got banned off of Twitch like this week. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Enjoy this episode. It's going to be a good one. We're very excited about doing it. We're very excited. So we're going to have on our good friend Noble of CFR News and Sports. Enjoy this episode.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink.
All right, let's get into it. This guest, very excited to have him on. He's an OG podcaster. He's created the CFR Network, CFR News, CFR Sports, providing a balanced view of current events, news, combat sports, interviews from athletes, artists, adult entertainers, okay, critical thinkers, doctors, exploring the human experience. I'm very excited to have him. Please welcome to Tinfoil Hat, Noble. How are you, Noble?
Wonderfields. Glad to be here and very much looking forward to this conversation, gentlemen.
Well, for our listeners who may not be familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where they can find you?
So best place to find myself would be on your favorite podcast platform. So whether that's my favorite, Podcast Addict, or whether you go to iTunes, etc. Obviously, I'm on the old BoobTube, aka YouTube, but it's a little tricky over there. So all of the other alternative media platforms, I'm trying to spread myself a little bit more thinly now. Myself, I'm someone who questions pretty much everything and tries to see the commonality, the differences, weigh up the balance, and ultimately try to impart some form of information that others can utilize in their day-to-day life. So it's interesting and it's nice to have all spectacular metaphysical information and knowledge, but if we cannot apply that in our day-to-day life, it means absolutely nothing, gentlemen.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. I think there's a lot of people that don't see the forest from the trees. I think there's a lot of people that are fighting this good fight while at the same time making themselves miserable, not happy, lost. Their anxiety's high, and I think you're just letting the lizard people win, or whoever you believe runs the world. I think you have to understand that there's a spiritual war going on here, and you have to balance it. Get the word out. Try to let the whole notion is don't worry about the waking up the sheep, wake up the sleeping lions. I'm like, don't even worry about the sleeping lions. Just find happiness in yourself. I personally love conspiracies because I don't like getting lied to. I hate getting lied to, and I like to catch them on their lies. But I know the best way for me to make an impact in the world is to change myself, and by changing myself and becoming a better person and a more spiritual human being, I affect everyone around me. So I totally agree with you on all that.
And just to unpack that further, Sam, people hear that depending on what stage they are in their revolution, evolution, in their spiritual, mental sort of evolution in this plane or realm of existence. And they can't necessarily contextualize that. They can't necessarily, the picture isn't painted that vivid. Oh, that sounds cool. I mean, like, just concentrate on myself. But what about these crazy demons who are running around polluting the earth and creating all of these agendas and all of this stuff that's happening? What about all that stuff? But as you say, it starts from that single act, from that single intention, that single thought of, okay, before I can change anything outside of what I control myself physically, mentally, and spiritually, let's start at home. Let's clean my physical surroundings up. So let's get rid of all the garbage. Let's get rid of some of these old memories. Let's put some boundaries in place. Let's start trying to have a real relationship with my significant other. Let's actually talk to my children.
Yeah.
Rather than allowing my kids to run wild and think, oh, well, I thought I had children, but actually I've got baby goats running around and causing all types of havoc and chaos.
Yeah, that is something I'm going through right now, is this discussion of, because my children have only known me as a provider to them. From when they're very young, they've learned to communicate through crying, and then when they cry, this large person comes and cleans their diaper, feeds them, holds them when they've got a boo-boo and all that stuff. And so now we're starting to become people, and I'm slowly trying to teach my children the rules of the universe. And, we kind of got into this in my other show, Broken Simulation. But, I'm very much a stickler for my children calling me Dad and not Sam. Because Sam is a friend. Dad is an authority figure until they no longer need one. Meaning when they turn 18 and they go off into the world. But Dad needs to be a point of authority, so they understand that, like, when Dad says something, he says it not to be a meanie or not to be rude, but because it's a lesson that they need to learn. So I'm very much I take my kids into public. They like to run around. I feel awful about it. I just apologize to everybody. And I'm sure they look at my kids like they're crazy people, but they're 3 years old and they just run around the restaurant, and I try to corral them to my best of my ability. But you're 100% correct about wrangling your children. And this is very much a message for men too. It is very important for you to start, establishing some sort of dominance, not over your wife, but over your castle. Dad has to be an authority figure. Dad has to be a voice of knowledge. And when dad speaks, people listen. That has to be established, because our modern day society is like, we've done some pretty amazing shows on like the destruction of the family unit and how that's done on purpose. And that is to weaken the position of fathers. Every commercial is about, dads being idiots. Every television show is about dads being idiots. And even if it's slight, it's still there. So I do think it's very important for fathers to establish a kind of a dominance over the castle.
Well, our role, we were designed and created by the Most High. Some people may have different views and may think of this plane of existence being seeded by out of this realm beings. I don't go with that personally. I think there is a supreme creator who created all, and he didn't create us to do what we are currently doing. Yeah. He created male and female, and he created male to be a provider, bring forth guidance, and to protect the female. The female is to, with the aid of the male, to help bring forth life.
Yeah.
That is the basics. If we had food, clothing, and shelter, which most people do have, we had a plot of land and some cattle, that's all we needed. Some chickens, some goats, maybe some oinks,
Some oinks, the smartest animal out there that we treat horribly, But I'm really into what you're talking about. And so in between shows we recorded today, I was watching a YouTube video, and one of it was that they had this OnlyFans model was talking about how she's she's winding down OnlyFans, and because it's not making her happy. And again, this is a common thing. So if you listen to the show a lot, you've heard me say it, but I think it's very important that I sometimes feel, because I'm getting older, that maybe I'm coming out of touch with what is hip and cool. But in reality, the data says that women are more unhappy than ever. They are on pharmaceuticals. They all talk about mental illness. And what we talked about last episode, which was like, all these people want to save the environment, save this and save that, why they are fat, unhealthy, on drugs, and all this stuff. You're like, oh, you want to save out there, but you're not saving in here. And this is what culture does to you.
The destruction, the devolution of mankind and humanity, with the vast growth of technology, with this chat GPT 5, with the iPhone 99 coming out in March. They have totally given humanity and mankind huge leaps and time-saving abilities, but at the same time, spiritually and emotionally, we as a collective, and I'll put myself into this as well, because when nobody is immune to this agenda, this plan that they have put in place, that we're pretty much like the Flintstones. Where's Barney and where's Fred? Because this is the mentality. We literally have knuckle draggers. We have Cro-Magnon people walking around with the crack phones illuminating their faces, getting run over, falling into lakes, doing all types of stuff. The communication level people being able to actually articulate themselves and have a conversation is non-existent. Writing, picking up a pen and paper, reading a book. I mean, look, we walk around. Let's not be silly. We walk around with pocket computers in our pockets, in our handbags, in our bum bags or fanny packs, as y'all call them. But the ability to actually maximize all of these wonderful tools that we have at our disposal. In the early 90s, if you wanted to find some additional information, Sam, Johnny, XG, where did you go? You went to the library, which you had to invest in the knowledge. The knowledge wasn't free. It came at a cost. And what was the cost? It was time. It was effort. It was potentially bus fare. It was gas money. Then you had to check the book out. Then you had to go back home. You had to read it. The information has no value today, Sam. It's totally lost in the constant barrage and barrage of the fear porn, of the fake news, of the shame stream media, pumping this filth. It's just filth. There's no. Where's the little fluffy dog? The little fluffy dog, and he's 4 years old, and he's just got adopted by little Sally, and she's come from a terrible background, but it's all good now because she's got a little dog. Where's those little happy stories on the news anymore? The cat in the tree, and Sam, Fireman Sam, he got him out of the tree. Good old Sam.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I get into this all the time. I don't think people are dumber than ever. I just think they're oversaturated with useless knowledge more than ever. And like, people are working more for less money than ever. I mean, even if the check number is bigger, your dollar, your pound, wherever you are, is worth less than it was even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I mean, just like the amount of work I have to do.
I mean, Sam, you have 2 daughters. When
Yeah.
you go out to lunch or dinner, how much does that cost?
Oh, dude, it's so expensive.
That's what I mean. Like, I can't imagine having a family of 4 with one job. And
I have a family of 5. Okay, that's what I got. Okay, I got a family of 5. But listen, I went and got pancakes yesterday, just because I need them quickly, and Dana wasn't home yet, and they just want. So I got pancakes and sausage. Guess how much it cost me? Over $20 for just pancakes and sausage in Los Angeles. Now, when I go on the road, everyone's like, it's cheaper to live out. Dude, you go on the road, it's the same price. Food's food. Like, the cost of living is cheaper, but the food's the same. And it's like, so you're working harder, you're working more than ever, and you're getting paid less value. Mm-hmm. And this is all done on purpose to heighten your anxiety, heighten your depression, and which makes you more easier to manipulate. 100%. Guys, I want to tell you about our friends at Copy My Crypto. That's right, James McMahon and Copy My Crypto. Listen, everybody, we've seen so many people making ridiculous money in crypto, but did you know it's easy for you to do the same? The Copy My Crypto membership site shows you the coins that YouTuber James McMahon personally holds and allows you to copy him, okay? It's like having a big brother who knows what he's doing. You don't need to know anything about crypto or how to invest. You simply do what he does. So let me tell you about James. He runs Crypto with James YouTube channel, which despite heavy censorship has over 26,000 subscribers. Since 2020, he's told his viewers to buy 26 crypto coins. Had you put in $100 into each one, it went on to be worth $120,000. Of the 26 coins, his top pick of the year, a coin called Phantom, went up 692 times from when he said. That one call retired a number of people, including guys in their 20s and 30s. Remember, this is all public knowledge. You can go to YouTube and verify for yourself. So if you'd like to join the 2,800 members who copy James, then stop what you're doing right now and head over to copymycrypto.com/TFH. That's copymycrypto.com/TFH. TFH. That's TFH. You'll not only find proof of everything I've said, but my listeners gain full access for just $1. Once again, that's copymycrypto.com/TFH. The recession is here, guys. You can suffer like everyone else or choose to thrive. James is a real deal. Go visit his site now.
As you say, you are in what I dub the belly of the beast, the wilderness of North America, where I reside across the pond. I dub it the brains of the beast.
No, he's right.
Very two different systems of sorts, very overt in regards to what they do over in America, very covert what's done over in England, in the old United Kingdom. But what they do is they put, especially in these major metropolitan cities, it's dog eat dog. Your rent's $6,000 a month. Like, you've got to get it. It's fast. It's going. You're not working like in the UK. Generally, people work like 35 hours, maybe 40 hours a week. Yeah, you guys are chuckling now, thinking that's all you. I know people are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. They've got multiple jobs that they're doing. Like, there's not enough hours in the day. So they don't have the luxury to be able to go to the superstore and get their produce and cook at even a little 20-minute meal, a 30-minute meal with good nutritional value, and actually get down and have time to sit with their wife, with their children, and say, guys, how's things? Like, how was school? How was how was high school? How was university? Whatever it is, unpack the day, guys. What's going on? Tell me your woes. Tell me your successes. This is what creates a cohesive family. Now, with you guys, you're working all hours God sends. The culture isn't necessarily to cook your own food, maybe at a barbecue, but generally everything's takeout. You go into flipping Starbucks. You guys don't do Costa Coffee. I do Costa Coffee if I'm going to do that kind of stuff. But you go to Starbucks, you get your skinny mocha latte, whatever the damn thing, paying $20 here, $60 here, and you literally the whole day you've done $250, and you've got home and you're ordering Uber Eats or flipping DuckDuckGo, whatever the hell the delivery service, and you get your food, you eat it. Sometimes it's nice, other times it might not be, and that's all you know, because that's all the opportunity you have, unless we totally break away from the system, which is very hard to do, especially when the rent, the expenses, as you said, the cost of living. Like currently in the UK, the price of our produce is amongst the highest currently inflation-wise in the world. We're paying ridiculous amounts of money for our produce, crazy amounts of money for our gas and electricity. It is obscene. Now listen to the logic and the insanity at the same time. The governments are closing down governmental buildings because it's costing too much to heat and to run the electricity. But at the same, so then they're sending them staff home to work from home. But then at the same time, they're opening up other spaces and calling them warm spaces for the residents of those towns to go to these warm spaces because they can't afford to warm their own houses.
Oh my God.
What is it?
That is crazy.
What's that saying? Yeah. That you're not going to own nothing and you're going to be happy. That's the thing. You don't own a house. Now you're going to go hang out with everybody else and use their fucking heater in a warm place with everybody else.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That is crazy, dude. That is crazy.
Coming to a city near you, Sam, and listen, that's just step one. Step one is then you don't even have enough money to buy enough food to sustain yourself and your children. So you have to drop all your pride and your dignity, and you have to queue up out on some street and go to a food bank, which when I was growing up, they didn't have. This was not even a thing. You could go and turn up to a place, and they would give you shopping bags full of canned food, cereals, milks, whatever, and you can go there like once a week, twice a week. You can go to another one, and it is depressing.
And what happens is you start getting used to this and accepting it. And what we really have a problem with as a species is that convenience trumps everything. What is the most convenient way to do it? What is the quickest way to do it? What is the easiest route to do it? And I just tell people, man, it's like, I know I've said this before on the show, but when you talk to my friends who are very big comics, like very big, like I started out with them and they're playing Madison Square Garden, they're playing all these giant arenas, and you ask them about their journey, you ask them about, their comedy careers, most of the time they'll talk about the journey and not the destination. And people don't realize that. People just want the destination. So, you're willing to give up everything. And when you give up, when you take the path of least resistance, you tend to find yourself out of options. And sometimes in life, having no options, some people are happy. But when it comes to a lot of these things, you just end up being miserable. I do believe it's half the reason you start seeing these teachers. And my parents were both teachers. I respect teachers. I do think my parents were from a different time. But you see these teachers that have blue hair, pink hair, pushing these woke agendas because that gives them a reason to get up in the morning. They've followed the rules till they had no more options. They were out of options. They're working a job. It pays. I think there's this notion that teachers don't get paid anything. I think they get paid a little better than we remember, but it's not like for the amount of shit they go through, it's not as great as it should be. But they're out of options. And again, this is not against teachers. My parents are teachers. I love teachers. I'm on team teacher. But there's a lot crazy because this is their fight or flight. This is it. This is what they get into, man. And that's just what you start to find. When you just start agreeing to everything, you'll find yourself trapped in a corner. And so if you start taking all the government handouts, you start taking all the food, guess what happens? You stop having a will to work because it's all handed to you. The will to fight for what you want is so important to your growth in your life. And what these people are doing is taking the easiest way out. And again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Noble, because we want to get in some social engineering here. But we have constantly talked about on the show that culture is not your friend. A lot of people mistake culture for their heritage, and they defend their culture like it's been passed down from century to century to century. In reality, it was made in a fucking think tank 20 years ago.
Yes.
And it's been pushed onto them. And again, going back to this OnlyFans model, says she wants quit because she's not happy. Like, study feminism. They're not happy.
Would you say Latinx is culture that they're trying, and they just can't get it to work?
They're trying, bro. They're trying their hardest.
But that's a culture. That's like back in like the 90s when
it's manufactured.
Yeah, because that's
in a think tank.
Yeah, that's not us.
And the reason they do that is because now your grandma has no clue what the fuck you're talking about. So now you and your grandma's generation now don't have the same information. And now there's a disconnect. And she has no clue why you're saying Latinx.
And I think it's culture when it's not, obviously.
Well, it is culture.
Well,
it's not heritage.
But it's not heritage. Well, that's what I'm saying.
She's talking heritage. You're talking culture.
Yeah, and we're way off.
What's your thoughts on that, Noble?
Well, culture and heritage, I would say, are intrinsically linked. I think what you're alluding to is the I guess the manufacturing of culture, and we can look from the 50s all the way up to these powerful movements that spring out of nowhere that become so wide and so popular that take hold of the youth, because obviously we know the youth are the the next generation. They're the future. So if we can start to manipulate and molest the minds, whether that be through overt drugging and illicit substances, whether this is the quote unquote big pharma situation where we will diagnose children with specific quote unquote defects, should we say, and then we would heavily medicate them. That's what we're talking about, or that's what you're talking about when you're referring to the engineering of culture. Now, this is done by what? How does anybody learn? It's by their environment. So environment will help shape you as a person, will help I guess integrate you into the culture, which has now been manipulated. So we have people who fit into these little nice square boxes. What part of the culture do you want to adopt, or what part of the culture do you have to be put into now? So we get the situation where we have a proliferation of let's move it forward. We have a proliferation of an identity and an ideal of women being able to dress in I guess you would call it, what I would call it is a lingerie, but that's now a fashion. That is now the fashionable thing to be doing. If you're going out on the night, you have to show all of your legs. You have to show your stomach. You have to literally, you might as well be walking around naked. If you do that, you would get the most praise. All of the feminine movement will be saying, "Oh my God, she's really showing out, girl.
Yep.
She's doing her thing. She's living her truth." But if we go back to the 90s, the 80s, that type of behavior was seen as, if you're going to present yourself in that fashion, then you're clearly, well, you're very sexually liberated, should we say, or in other terms, you may be a streetwalker.
A slut.
Yes, exactly.
You're so right about all that, dude. And this is the whole thing. It's like, this is so real quick before we follow up. What is your not you specifically, but you as in the general, as in people? What is your history called? If you don't call it heritage, what is it? Because I don't think it's culture. I think culture is manufactured and pushed through television, movies, music, social media. It's a construct. You know, your grandma didn't have culture. Your grandma wasn't, like, if your grandma wasn't doing it, to me, that's not your hair. That's culture.
Well, culture evolves, though. I mean, culture is
but
always changing.
Right. Culture does evolve, but how much of it is manufactured through this? Through, let's say, limited hangouts and FBI informants or like CIA.
Factors. Yeah, there's many factors.
Like when Sam says
music, which is all infiltrated by those forces. Yeah.
So push it. Like, you know, again, we do that episode 2 episodes ago where they're basically talking about how Scientology is a naval intelligence operation for the most part. You're like, okay, and then we get into the history of the CIA infiltrating every major cultural movement in the United States.
See, like when he talks about culture, like when I think about straight up gangster rap. That's not there's no one's grandpa was like, oh, I can relate to that.
Yeah,
that was
100%.
That was straight push on the media. They let it play on the radio because nobody would. Why would you let that play on the radio unless you wanted it to get pushed?
100%.
Okay, I'm glad I'm so glad you brought that element in, because that was one of that rap hip hop was, I would say, was my life for a very long period of time as a young adult, from a young child, I would say, to an adult. It started off, obviously, me listening to more of the hip hop, the East Coast kind of stuff. And then as I got into my early teens, your NWA, Yeah?
Yeah.
Which is the genre of gangster rap, reality rap. And then I started to move around and look at all of the other parts of the West Coast, Sacramento, the Bay, Vallejo, etc., etc. Then I'm going over to
you
Memphis.
You went deep down the rabbit hole. You went deep down the rabbit hole. You were talking Too Short and shit.
Too Short, Mac Dre, Mac Moore, Ev, the Jacka, mob figures. Listen, we can have a whole conversation, a whole other podcast about that whole scene. But the point is, at that time, as a young impressionable child, I not necessarily hung on every word, but I was just so shocked. Firstly, I was shocked that original people, black people, so-called black people, brown-skinned people in America were living in such conditions that they were forced, some of them, to live a life where they're killing each other. This, to me, guys, was I couldn't fathom it. I've got relatives who live in America, and luckily they don't live in an area where this type of stuff is going down. So I'd never necessarily heard of it. And on the news, we heard of little bits and pieces, but to hear the graphic detail of some of the stuff, it was so interesting and fascinating from a morbid standpoint, but also just the connection. Like I understand the struggle. I understand there's a problem going on over there, but what's the cause of it? And I really took from it personally back then the skill of what they were actually doing. The words meant absolutely nothing. So it wasn't a case of me listening, so he shot 12 people, he sold all these drugs. All right then, hey guys, listen, I've just listened to the latest Master P album. This is what we're going to do in England. In Birmingham, England, we're going to start our own gang. We're going to sell all the cocaine in the world. We're even going to sell heroin and crack. We're going to get a nice big change. That wasn't the thought. But the reason being is because luckily I was born in a time where I had a family, I had a caring mother, I had siblings. We had a semblance of a community. Whereas now we have children or kids who aren't raised, who don't have a role model, who don't have that strong male figure to say, that's what I want to be when I'm older. Now the only opportunity for young black males is, okay, I'll sell drugs, gangbang, I can be a football player, I can ball, or I can sing or rap. I can entertain. In essence, all of those things are entertainment apart from the first. Now, the first, we've got so many people in that. So we sell drugs and we kill each other. So we're killing each other. That's clearly a negative. We're selling drugs for one another. That's clearly a negative. When I get caught, what happens? Actually, no, let's not get into the court phase. I'm doing that. So I'm clearly flipping $10, $15, $30,000 a week. Okay, so what am I going to be doing that money? I'm going to be buying alcohol with it. The most expensive alcohol. I'm going to be going to the Louis store. I'm going to get myself the little Gucci bag. Yeah, now. I'm going to deck myself in all of the little trinkets, the little dog biscuits that are being dangled in my face, which mean nothing, because anybody with money, Sam, very affluent, rich people, and they're not decked out with all logos all over themselves, are they?
Nope.
It's the poor and disenfranchised who seek approval, seek self-gratification. Why they do these things? They have been trodden on. Some of them are wicked and evil. Let's not get this twisted. It's not woe is me kind of thing. Some of these guys are wicked and evil, and it's as simple as that. But we've got to look at the system. We've got to look at the economic situation, the lack of potential opportunity, the lack of role models. The only opportunity is for you to sing, to tap dance, or to entertain people. That's the only way for a black person to potentially make some kind of success for themselves. Because how do we measure success? Success is what we see on Atlanta Housewives. We've got to have a mini mansion. We've got to have 6 cars. Is that success?
You're completely right. And when you study how it was done so systematically. Hey, everybody, I want to tell you about our good friends at Blue Chew! Yeah, that's right. This episode's sponsored by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex. Guys, remember the days when you were ready to go? Anytime, all the time. Now you can increase your performance and get extra confidence in bed. Listen up. Go to BlueChew.com. Okay, Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, but in a chewable tablet for a fraction of the cost. That's the best. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever the opportunity arises, or do what we do here on the show. Blue Chew Chicken, right? That's where we take it. We see who gets the weirdest boner at the weirdest moment. That's how we rock, everybody. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Consult with one of their licensed medical providers. And once you're approved, boom, you receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA, and prepared and shipped direct to your door in discreet packages, so none of your neighbors know you're about to drop the national hammer of the gods. The all patriotic dick downs, okay? That's what we're all about here at Blue Chew. Patriotic dick downs, okay? American boners for American women, unless you're into dudes, and then it's American boners for American twinks, okay? That's how it goes. It's just that simple. So here's what Blue Chew wants you to do. You want to have better sex? Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. It's real simple. We got a special package for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use the promo code TINFOIL at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's it. $5 for amazing boners, man. That's BlueChew.com, promo code TINFOIL to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for being an American company that cares about the future of America and for sponsoring this podcast. Thank you, Blue Chew. So recently Biden said he was going to give lower interest rates on loans to people with poor credit. And, you go, well, that sounds nice and all, but if you study Biden and everything Biden was a part of, you know that he also incentivized the black community not to have fathers in the household. And he did that by going, we're going to give you a grip of cash as long as you can prove to us that there's no dad in the household, because they know how important fathers are. So what they do, they flooded the hoods with crack, and they arrested all the dads. They took dads out, and then they put the mom again on government service. And to the point that, and this wasn't just a black thing, this was, you saw poor white people doing this too, to the point that they would just keep having more kids because they got more money.
Yes.
No, I don't understand why you wouldn't do that if.
Well, the reason you don't want to do that is because you don't necessarily have the resources to raise children. Children need. Listen, this. It'd be great to have a mom and dad, but I'm also saying they need two. For every one child, you need at least two parents. That's two adults. Every one baby, you need an extra adult, meaning if it's one kid, you need two adults. If it's two kids, you need three adults. That's my honest opinion. What they were incentivizing is one adult for a bunch of children. And I have to have my kids, and I have Dana with me, and it is chaos. So
it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And let's go back a bit further. Vietnam. Let's not forget what the disgusting things that the United States government did, bringing back heroin in the dead soldiers' bodies. That was flooding. The soldiers were coming back, drugged out of their minds, based upon the acts that they were told to do in somebody else's war. Now, as a child, when I used to think about the Yugoslavian war and all these things that were going on, I used to think to myself, why don't the presidents of both of these countries who got this problem, why aren't they in a ring fighting? Why aren't they knuckling up themselves? And whoever loses, and that's it. There's no other people dying. But oh no, that's not how the game goes, is it, Sam? We want destruction. We want terror. We want blood. We want death, destruction. That's it. That's all we want. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. We want to kill as much people as possible. We want the transference of wealth. Yes. It's a game. It's all a flipping game. Like Rome was powerful at one point. Where I am was very, very powerful at one point. But what they did, they thought to themselves, you know what? We've been dominating like 2/3 of this world. We've got the Commonwealth. We're everywhere. We're all in Africa. We're taking these diamonds. We're chopping, we're doing all kind of crazy stuff. Okay, let's draw back a bit. Let's give the illusion to all these guys. Let's give the newest country that's been formed, the United States of America, the new world. Let's give them the illusion that they're running things and they're the superpower, because there's a lot of opportunity there. I mean, think about it, guys. I mean, we've sent our orphans over there, our convicts over there, our bandits, our serfs over there. The criminals went over there. The religious Puritans went over there. The Quakers, all those guys are over there. And some of them, they're pretty ingenuous. They can make some stuff happen and stuff. And we will just sit in the background. We'll send some guys over there, obviously, to give them some pointers and stuff. And what we'll do, we speak English. They will speak American English because they hate us that much. They don't want to speak English. They'll change things. So you'll wear slacks, whereas we'll wear trousers. Pants is what we wear under our trousers, whereas pants, y'all call the other thing. So it's all of this division, this transference of wealth and knowledge. And, we'll stay in the background and we'll just bubble along here, and people just forget. People will forget that the wickedness and the horrible things that we did in America, in Australia, in oh my God, they've England, the United Kingdom, Great Britain has a lot to answer for. Across this plane of existence in regards to the atrocious things that have been done in the name of the king or the queen.
Well, it's super interesting about all that is, like, I totally agree with so much of what you're saying, if not all of it. I believe that we're Master Blaster, if you remember the Thunderdome. Like, England is Master, America is Blaster, okay? And we're just this 800-pound gorilla and these tiny British guy telling us what to do. If you get into the royal family, they're not really of descendants of royals. This is all part of the psyop of putting their people in positions of power. And, like, if you get in England, is it really England? Or is it more along the lines of, like, the city of London and the power that the city of London has over, all of the UK and Europe? I mean, just the world, man. And I completely agree with everything you're saying. You're getting into words and all that stuff. One of the biggest psyops out there is the N-word. I mean, that word is purposely used to cause friction and fighting within people. And the way you talk about how words, the power of words, just think about what that word is culturally and how they've convinced a group of people to call themselves that word. Now you get into you have some people push back going, oh, that's a word for kings or royals back in the day. I would go, well, if you really believe that, you wouldn't get offended when somebody would say that to you. So that's not true. What you're doing is you've been culturally convinced to call yourselves the name of the people that you said were slave owners. Now, I'd love to get into you with discussions with you about the Moors as well, but I would love to hear your whole thoughts on all that.
It's a very powder keg conversation, the N-word. As a grown man now, I I cringe when I hear people using it so flippantly.
Yeah.
And in music as well, I think it's lazy. Now this is a mother of all bombs to all of the artists who are lyrically lazy, because that's all it is.
Yeah.
Because the N word rhymes with so many different things. It's just laziness. That's what it is. And culturally, the engineered cultural element of it, it's cool, Sam. It's cool. Because even white folk, Asian folk, Chinese folk, all of the different nations use their N words now. Because in the famous words of Eazy-E, Rising Paradise, there was a skit on N-words for life, and it said, I'm an N-word, he's an N-word, wouldn't you like to be an N-word too?
Crazy.
And you think, well, what does he mean by that? Like, well, you know, and as a youngster, I was thinking, well, is he saying that because, like, it's kind of cool, it's edgy? Like, some people, like, you know, they're really down with the hip hop and the rap and the gangster stuff, and they really had an affinity with it. You know, and this goes across color lines, kind of thing. But now we're at a point where, and I will not take credit for this, Brother Dawood and I think Asir the Ducateers explained of quite some time ago, I think this was mid-2000s, the N-word, I'll say, I don't like to say it, but the niggerization of the world. Every single nation, color, creed, age, there's very little in regards to, okay, well, I like that element of this N-word culture, so I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna utilize it for myself.
Yeah.
So I can even call my best friend Steve, what's up, my N-words? Yeah, you listening to that new Fiddy? Yeah, you know, track number 7, it's dope, my N-words. And then we're saying it, it's in the movies. You know, you're driving past a group of young black males and it's N-word this, N-word that. Hey, what's up, my N-words? Okay, it's acceptable. You know, it's in the music. They're playing it, Sam, on the radio at 9 a.m. in the morning. Hey? So it must be acceptable. But then you, as someone who is not a melanated person, who is not brown, African American, Afro American, you can't say that flippantly if you have a good relation. And why would you want to? This is another question. Why would someone who understands, and maybe if you didn't understand, maybe you'd have that question, well, why can't I use it if you guys are calling yourself it and it's all in your songs? Why can't I say it? Well, if you had the knowledge and would understood that these people are sick. They're sick.
Yeah.
You wouldn't hear anyone who's been through any kind of travesty, whose ancestors were prisoners of war, not for a year, Sam. It wasn't just for 2 years. It wasn't for 50 years. For a very long, bloody amount of time, where crazy things have happened. And this is what people need to realize. Please, somebody in the comments tell me if anybody on this plane of existence in the annals of history has gone through that. We know the term slave comes from Slav, and we know they were enslaved. We know about servitude. We know about that, but there was something called chattel slavery. I don't know anybody else who's gone through chattel slavery. I'm sorry, guys. So it's very different, man. Very different.
That's why I 100%. Well, I just want you to know that my point with asking this is that I don't think anyone should say it, because I think words are magic. And I think words have power. And I think when you say certain things, it puts out certain energy. And I think that word has a certain energy to it that does a lot of damage. And I just don't think people understand what they're doing. And it's this thing I get back to is easy versus simple, culture, fast food, pornography, alcohol, drugs are all easy. Simple spirituality, connecting with God, prayers, working out, helping others, practicing abundance, all these things that you do to get you closer to God. You know, taking off your shoes and walking on the dirt. These are all spiritual things that are simple. They're not easy. And these words that they have us using, like these kids don't even know what they're saying when they're singing these songs. So when I hear the M word, and you know, I've gotten in discussions with this before and people lose it on me. I'm not saying I want to say it. I'm not saying you can't say it. I'm just saying nobody should say it. You can do whatever you want. I'm just saying if I had a choice, the word would be gone because it has such dark energy to it. And the truth of the matter is like that's done on purpose. All of that is done on purpose, just like there's aspects of feminism that is being done on purpose. I remember listening to Jennifer Aniston one time. She was quoted in like People or one of those stupid tabloid shows. And she said, I know as a modern woman, I don't need a man to raise my kid. And I thought I go, why are you saying that? Like, what are you doing? And then it turns out she never had a kid, ever. So the woman who never wanted to have a kid was saying things to people that herself never even followed.
And even if she did, only she can obtain that. It's
like the Kardashians, right?
They make other women think that they can live the life that they can just because.
If you're dating unavailable men, like super duper famous men, that's a dangerous way to live your life. Not that famous men can't be in relationships, but it's like these are guys women are getting thrown at. It's chaos.
It's also the marginalization and the demonization of what the masculine, right? It's like not necessary. You don't need the masculine influence to raise a child. Well,
if you want to get into the demiurge, that's what Sophia did, right? That's the whole thing that Sophia did, which was, if you want to talk about false reality, this whole thing started because of fucking a feminist. Decided she didn't need a man, right? And then now here we are in this false fucking reality.
It wasn't from my rudimentary research that the whole feminism thing and the whole voting and women working and all that. It was for taxation purposes, right?
Yep. They were like, why are we only having half of the country pay us taxes? Why can't we have the entire country pay taxes?
Yeah. And look, and listen, like I'm old school, like shell toe Adidas. So I've got some, I'm a young man with an old soul. So if I had my way, if I had my way, it would be a very much an option for women to work because men would be in a position to be able to provide for their whole household. Do you remember back in our grandfather's era when they would have, their wife and they would have 3.5 children, and then maybe 2 streets down the road, they would have another wife and another set of children, and he would be able to maintain 2 households, whether they knew each other or not. That's not the point, but the point is he was able to go out to work, graft, and provide and make way for 2 damn households. Fast forward 3 generations, we have the mother working 2 jobs. We have the father working 2 jobs. We're waking up and we're sending our child to breakfast school, and then it's after club school, and then we pick them up at 4, 5, 6 o'clock after their activities, and we get them home. We go, no. We go to the drive-thru, we go to McNasty's, and we get the McNasty meal, and then we get home. And all through this time, you're on your phone quickly, texting while you're bloody driving when you shouldn't be, answering your work emails or flicking through damn stupid TikTok, all kind of stupid stuff. No communication taking place. They get home, they run straight upstairs, they're on their damn TikTok eating their food. You've just got back. There's no time to how are you being a parent? Is that parenting? Is that really parenting? That doesn't sound like doing anything.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I completely agree with you. I this one woman I find very interesting. I think she's out of the UK too, even though she's American. Is this woman named Just Pearly Things?
Oh gosh.
So she has a very interesting niche. She's found a way to work her way into the manosphere and also what I call black YouTube, which is the only people who could really take it to white feminists in America are black people, in particular black men, because white women, the only thing they hate more than racism is being called a racist. Like they'll eat their breakfast of being told that they won't push back on that. But so for some reason, Pearlie's had a really been able to resonate with a lot of people. And the reason I bring her up because she just did an episode in which she asked women, if a man provides, is it okay if he cheats? And some of them were like, I don't think that's high value male. I think this, and they've been talking about how there was this football in the world sense of football, not American football, who was married, but everything was in his mother's name. So when she left him, she got nothing because nothing was in his name. And they were like, was she dumb to leave? And so it brings us back to what you were talking about, this notion that, and this is what the Me Too movement has done, and I think it's blown up in women's faces, is that it's made men gun shy. They don't want to hit on women anymore because it's not only about getting rejected, which it's so funny. Have you ever watched a video when a woman hits on a man, he's like, no, and she's like devastated? Well, that's men's life. That's the reality we got to live in. We have to hit on everything to hope that one or two say, yeah. But now, not only that, now you're worried about losing your career, your life, you're standing in your assets, your everything. And it's just super tragic. So it's like, you're totally right. Like, I mean, hand to God, my grandfather, who was the patriarchy of my family, my mother would hate that I'm saying out loud, but it's like, it's just the truth. I love my grandfather. He was such a great role model to me. We found out after he passed away, he had another family. So even the most pure of us, did this thing that used to be very common. And now is just seen as this ultimate felony, spiritual felony. But in reality, and I'm sorry, I'll shut up here, but in reality, your needs are being provided for. It's gone beyond that, which was the female was there to find the male with the most resources to take care of the offspring. Well, if that's being taken care of, what are we doing here?
That sounds like you're winning. You found a guy that can take care, can give you everything you want. You get to stay home and not do nothing. I don't know how you can complain about that.
Right.
It's back to the social cultural engineering. It's a tricky one because I don't live a polygamous lifestyle. I think there is tremendous benefits for it, especially how society is. I think there's so many good men out there. There's so many good men out there, but the minority of the terrible men are the ones that are seemed or are deemed to be the ones who are highly attractive to these women. And then these women have these quote unquote relationships with these terrible men who they think are the prizes, and they get hurt and they get hurt and they get hurt. And then they turn into these angry feminists who all men are dogs and blah, blah, blah. But if they would have just reevaluated and looked inwards and looked at themselves and looked at, what do I actually want? I've been looking for this type of man. I've had these 3 relationships. He's broken my heart and he's done all these things. Maybe I should be talking to Gary in accounts. We get on good. We have a nice time at the Christmas parties, etc., etc. We have a good time. Maybe he pulls in a bit of money as well. Maybe I shouldn't be looking for this outwardly flashy, muscular, tattooed up, type of guy, and maybe just look for a normal person who has normal goals and aspirations of having a family and just being normal. Yeah. But that's not what's painted. That's not what's fancy though, Sam. That's not what's popular. They don't want to bring Gary from account.
So
Sinead,
right.
so Is this your new man? Where's he? He works. He works in the office. Does he? He's dead, man. That's dead. That's dead.
Yeah, you're totally right, man.
You're not a bad bitch if you don't have. If you're dating Gary from the office.
Like, how many times you hear women and they're like, I mean, especially these man on the street shit. I want a gangster. You're like, what are you doing? And then you'll run around crying that life isn't fair and men are wrong, and then you'll just scorch the earth on this guy because he was just who he is. And that's the same thing for men. You like fast and crazy women, yeah, guess what? They become fast and crazy moms to your children. That's just how it goes. And listen, trust me, I know all this, okay? I know all this. Yeah. And it's just like, this is where we're going. So I was having this thought today because I heard about this study that said 100% of women think 80% of men are unattractive. Not just unattractive, ugly. And that they're really 100% of women are only really attracted to 20% of men. Which
we talked about it on
yeah, right? So, and then I started going, man, this is kind of crazy. I'm wondering if, like, just like the Matrix said, we went through multiple like cycles. You remember, like, whoa, you're different than the rest of the Neos. You remember that moment with the architect? I wonder if we've been through this so many times, okay? And then at some point we went through this feminist revolution before. And then everyone realized that women have horrible taste in men. Like horrible taste. And now we're going to throw on like birth control, which studies have shown, data shows women pick the worst men on birth control. It does something to their hormones. So now we have 100% of the women fighting over 20% of the men. And then we wonder why 20% of the men end up cheating on 100% of the women. I mean,
but here's another one to that. Sam. The drive, and this is no get out clause. So don't just try and throw this anywhere. But we were created to be fruitful and multiply. That was what the Most High said when he created Adam. Be fruitful and multiply. So we have an innate urge within us to have sex. It's as plain as simple. And I've said this many a times. If your wife says, look, come on, finish this interview. We've got some business to take care of. And for every day we're taking care of business, I'm going to be stopping this interview and I'm going to go handle some business. That's what men do. It's just within us to do that kind of thing. But because of society and because of having a monogamous relationship, that's what is deemed to be acceptable. And we've been conditioned into thinking that is acceptable, where we can go across this plane and we can see many cultures and nations who practice polygamy. There are some who practice polyandry. I don't necessarily believe in that stuff. I think a woman's womb is very sacred. And for her to allow multiple upon multiple men to enter her womb, especially not protected, is very damaging, because that DNA, where does that DNA, does it just drip out? Does the essence, does the intent, when that guy has ejaculated into her womb, does that just drip out and she just wipes it away and that's it? No, it stays in her.
Energy, dude.
Stays in there. His DNA will always be in that womb.
It's also energy, dude. It's like it's just and you know that book Sex at Dawn, I think it's called. And they were like, yeah, man, you know, it used to be where everyone would just run trains on every chick and everybody was happy. I go, well, I don't really know about that because I don't see that anywhere in the animal kingdom. Maybe one or two monkeys do that,
the bonobos.
But that's about it. I mean, if you're telling me at our most primal levels that this was an acceptable thing, okay, where else is that in the animal kingdom? Where else are guys like, hey, everybody hit it. Come on. Jubilee on my lady. It's not right, Johnny.
Well, I mean, what, are you saying that there's not a lot of monogamy in the animal kingdom, if that's what you're saying?
No, there's 100%.
Like partnering for life? And
no, not partnering for life, but the notion that raising someone else's kids
You're
not
talking about
knowing
just
it's yours.
that. You're saying
Actually,
that
in the
just-
animal kingdom, if they don't know it's theirs,
Kill.
they kill the offspring.
Yeah. But I mean, the reverse of that is that it's not like there's a ton of monogamy in the animal kingdom.
No, but what the sex at Dawn's trying to say
was
is that nobody cared
nobody knew
who the kid was, so they didn't care.
I don't know if it was they didn't know who the kid was, so they couldn't.
But I'm telling you, I don't know where else that is in the animal kingdom. Maybe one other
it's
group.
not even here anymore. So it obviously
but
didn't work.
that's my point. I don't think it was ever that.
Well, it was wild because in like the bonobos, like they'll fuck anything. Like the dad will fuck its daughter. The only thing that will not happen, is the mother will not fuck its son.
Okay.
Or let that happen. But they're
Whose
crazy.
job is it to study that, by the way? Who's
it's for sure a
keeping
university.
score on that?
It's a university.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I got a universe
Government
guy.
money.
I'm doing some deep research here. I'm just watching these monkeys bone.
We're paying for all of that.
But my whole point is that we don't see it, and it kind of gets into, again, this everything. And I want to get into this because you wanted to talk about demon possession, good versus evil, humanity versus mankind. Like, this is all depopulation shit. And you have a bunch of people who live in big cities that are buying into Bill Gates and all this demonic stuff about overpopulation, when every statistic says we are about to collapse. We're having humanitarian collapse in populations. People aren't having, I don't know what it is, but Asians aren't having kids. I don't know why, because everyone seems to have an Asian fetish that I know, but nobody wants to bang any Asian chicks
they'll
in
have
Japan
one.
and China.
They'll have one. Even
No,
here
but
in the
they're not
States.
even doing that. They're not having kids.
No one's having. I don't. Look at China. Look at me in China.
Younger people aren't having kids either. Yeah. I mean,
No, younger kids I'm fine with, but they're saying people aren't having children. You are having a population collapse in places like Japan,
no, that's
China.
what I mean. Yeah, younger generations aren't. So what's gonna happen when they're
they have nobody to step into the workforce for this much older population that is about to enter retirement.
Which they're gonna say that. Well, that'll be the room. That's where automation, will step up and
Exactly.
AI. That's what they're gonna
the
put
fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah.
AI. Skynet was real, guys. Skynet is here. It's not a game. It's not a game. Sophia Stewart, who wrote, that's my Birmingham coming out, who wrote the original treatments for the Matrix and Terminator. That was in 1980 something. Cyborgs. Like, did we ever think there would be a time when any of that type of technology, go back to Star Trek when they had bloody iPhones and tablets walking around? Come on. Like, that was science fiction apparently, guys. Remember? It's the science fiction. It's just the movies. It's just the movies. It's just to entertain you. Don't worry about the flicker rates that sends you into a hypnotic state. Don't worry about that. It's just to entertain you guys. But then we're in the Gregorian year of 2023, and I think I've got a device that looks very similar to Captain Kurt, and Luke Picard and all of those guys. I've got a little tablet. I've got multiple tablets all over the place. I've got technology that I saw in films, and I'm seeing regimes being implemented. For instance, Demolition, the Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes. Are we not seeing almost a mirror image of the whole of, what was it called? Los Angeles or something, that new utopian society that they were in? Where does reality and fiction, non-fiction, fiction, the lines are so blurred now? It's like they put these my views, these movies out to tell you exactly what we're doing. Like, oh, this is the plan. You'll find this entertaining, but anybody with any sense, you're going to know that this is coming to a city near you very, very soon. So we're just getting you subconsciously and subliminally programmed to it. So when it comes into your reality, into your physical realm of existence, you'll be like, oh, I know this. This is from that movie. Oh, yeah. You just put your hand here and it'll take your fingerprints and you can get access to the door then. It's all biometrics. Oh, don't worry. It's easy now. You don't need to carry your wallet anymore, Sam. You just put your finger there and it pays for everything. It's cool. It's trendy. It's cool.
Do you think I just had a girl from Canada come on and I asked her about assisted suicide and she said it's real? Do you think that's what it's like eventually will be in every city? She said like
What do you mean it's real?
Huh?
What do you mean it's real?
Well, I had asked her if
in
it
Canada,
was like in Canada.
they will assist.
I mean, they're doing it everywhere. I mean, they're doing it in Europe. It's
So eventually
definitely
it's going to be
real,
in LA because I mean I don't think they do assisted suicide here. And she said that they gave it to a homeless person. That the homeless person went in there and said, "I don't want to live no more. I'm homeless."
Where?
In Canada, in Toronto.
Yeah.
She literally said like I was like, "How bad is assisted suicide?" She's like, "Well, one of my friends had a really bad stage cancer and they gave it to him. But then also you can be homeless and they'll give it to you. Like there's a 5-stage cancer sounds pretty like reasonable. Like hey, if you're gonna die, make it easier. But because you're homeless."
Yeah,
you
I mean,
you think it's depopulation? Do you
yeah,
just think
100%. It's all demonic. It's all dark arts, demonic depopulation agenda. That's what this is all Malachian, dog.
yeah. I got this is now. Take it for what it's worth. It's from the National Catholic Register, but it says in March 2023, Canada will allow, that's in the past now, will allow mental health patients with no physical ailments to seek doctor-assisted suicide. So these are just people with,
Just like I am having a bad day.
half of LA?
As long as if you get a doctor say you have a mental health condition, yeah.
Which is, let's get back into
Anybody.
culture
yeah.
versus nature. Like, you're living in these free range reservations called big cities, in which we've seen studies that when animals are in a small area overpopulated, weird things start to happen. Gangs, homosexuality, violence, women start to hang out in areas above the fray.
Yes. Yes.
Right? They don't. You see high value women getting out of the fray. But in our society now, high value women either don't want to have children or they do OnlyFans and nobody wants to have kids with them. This is all like.
What does that mean, high value? What does that mean?
High value women.
Super hot chicks.
Like smart,
But are we talking
attractive.
physically only, or is this
Everything. The whole package.
Everything.
does that mean money though? Does it mean they have money?
No.
Yes.
For men, it does. I don't think
Oh, it
anyone.
doesn't.
You think I personally don't take into account if a woman has a ton of money, whether I find her attractive or not.
Yeah, I don't.
Women do. Women, that is if you break it down into animals, resources versus no resources.
Yeah, like if my friend tells me that girl's hot, and then I'm like, she's all right, and then she's like, oh, but she's got a nice job. My dick don't get any.
Yeah,
much
no, it's
harder.
like, oh, bang it. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I wanted to hook up with chicks who work at McDonald's.
Yeah, those are the best because you got way more money.
You know, I mean, like, right? It's like, dude, Taco Bell bitches can get it, dog. You know what I'm saying? But the point, so that's what I mean, like high value, smart. You know, what are the characteristics that the guy looks for in a women? They check all those boxes, except for either now they don't want to have kids, but for some reason. And again, you don't have to have children. This show is not about you have to have kids. I love my children. And someone say, hey, dude, it's having kids. Awesome. I go, it's the greatest thing I've ever done. And that's not just lip service. I love it. And it's come with a lot of chaos.
And that's
in
a
my
brand new answer, by the way.
life. What?
Dead answer to kids. Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I first met you, you were like, dude, just running the gun. And you're like, dude, don't even have
Because I
kids.
didn't think I'd get anybody pregnant. But the point is like, because if you don't have kids, you don't understand the love of children. You just don't understand it. Now, I know I have listeners who can't have kids, and I understand you can't adopt. But if you don't want to have kids, that's okay too. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just telling you that the love of children is like something you can't understand until you have children.
Do you get upset when people say, oh, I have a kid, my dog?
Yeah,
Does that
I mean,
upset you? Are you like, get the fuck
no,
out
the
of here?
Scholars have the funniest joke about that. It's literally the most perfect answer to that. You can't say your dog is your kid because you never jerk off in front of your kids, right? I mean, come on. It's the perfect answer to that, right?
I don't even put on headphones.
Yeah,
You just
right?
straight,
I
why
mean,
you
yeah.
let them hear it.
So I mean, it's you have people commenting on love that they never will understand. My love of my mother is so strong, but it's still not the love of my children. And that doesn't mean I don't love my mother 100%. It's just like it's a different love. Dana gets mad when I go, the most important people in life are my kids. And my kids. End of story. There's tears to this shit, okay?
Hey, Sam, but let me touch on, because you've used the word, and I know you know you're in the wilderness of North America. We say it a lot more here as well, but we seem to refer to our children now as kids. Now I know they've changed, you know, because they change definitions and they update dictionaries quite frequently. But a kid is a baby goat.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So just think about, as you say, and as you know, words hold so much power.
Yes.
So the intent's there, but the language, this spell of a language we use called English, which is a massive tool of communication, confusion, and also chaos, because as we're highlighting, I love my kids. They're such wonderful kids. They're so responsible, are my kids. Or I love my kids. I don't know what's going on. They're acting up and my kids. Okay, so what are we actually saying? Could it be that your intentions are indeed noble, quote unquote, but what you're actually bringing forth is a spell. Let us put in together to create words or spells. So we're calling our children baby goats. When we're talking about an attractive young lady, we will call her a negative word, which would be bad. Then we call her a female dog. It goes on and on. We seem to have a fascination of calling people animals, as in term of endearment. In England, I think it's more of a feminine thing, but females would refer to themselves as a baby pig and call themselves babes. And then also what they do now is they'll call their boyfriend or their significant other babes. Can you get this for me? it's just like, again, so if we understand, understand the power of words and what it actually means, maybe the miscommunication, especially with the male and female dynamic, would be solved. We greet people and we say, hello, Sam. How are we doing? Hell is low. Why would we greet someone saying that? Why wouldn't we just say good day, or why wouldn't we just say peace, Sam? How we doing?
Yeah, I'm going to start saying that from now on. I am. Peace. Peace, Juicy Johnny. Peace.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
No, I'm in, dude. I think there's a lot going on here. There's so much. I could talk to you forever. I don't want to keep you forever. But I there's a lot of things I want to get through real quick. So
Yes.
Mark, our booker, told me you are more. I'm part Sicilian. I have more in me. To what percentage? I do jokes. I have 12.5% African in me, just so I could get some of these reparations. Right? That's really what I'm trying to get. But the hidden history is my favorite topic, and. So when you start out in conspiracies, you get, let's say you start in your conspiracy starter kit, which is JFK, let's say. You start breaking that down. You go, okay, they lied to me about that. Then you start going deeper and deeper, and always say conspiracy leads to spirituality. And then you start going, what is the conspiracy of spirituality? And then that gets into, they've lied to us about our history. And this gets into limited hangouts, how they want to control the narrative. We had a pretty interesting episode about Albert Einstein being a fraud, being a limited hangout. That a lot of this, he plagiarized a lot of stuff they did, and his wife wrote a lot of his papers. And that was, I thought, was a very interesting episode. That's why I put it out. But you see all this story, Christopher Columbus, all this stuff, which to me is total bullshit. And
His
hidden
story,
history.
remember, Sam?
His story.
His story. Yes, it's his story. The victor creates and manipulates and shapes the story that he wants everybody to know about. So Christopher Cologne, aka Christopher Columbus, he's a very interesting character, and I urge everybody to read indeed his memoirs, his diaries, and Piso's, and just really examine and start to peel some of these lies. I mean, like, he was going to India. Remember that was the old chestnut. He was going to India to try and find a faster route. Transportation wise, so we can get the silk, etc., And he happened, strangely enough, to have on board Moriscos, Morenos, or Moors. Multiple. One specifically I can't remember his name specifically, it's eluding me currently, but he was an expert navigator. That was one of the a main sort of, well, why would he have him on there? And this happened in 1492. Okay. What other event took place in 1492? The Moors were expelled from Spain, Iberia. Why were they expelled from Spain? And in the same year, Christopher Cologne, funded by Portugal and Hispaniola, went all the way over to the New World, crashed, and it wasn't even in the Central or Southern America, sorry. It was on the islands, and he sailed past, and he named certain islands, and he met the natives, the Indians, the Indios, and he described them. And he described them as Ethiopian-looking with dreadlocks, copper-colored skin, as per Merriam-Webster's dictionary entry. Americans, copper-colored races, plural, races of the Americas. Now, what is the Americas? The Americas encompass what? South, Central, North America, and we encompass the Caribbean, as y'all say, or Caribbean, West Indies islands. So we have a load of different types of brown people, and we have a situation where he lands. What did it say? What did Hillary say? We conquered, we came, we conquered, and we kicked ass.
We saw, he died.
This is the blueprints of these wicked beings. They come with an agenda. It was planned. They knew the trade routes because the Moors are a seafaring peoples, and there are varying ideas because of the various different bits of history that you've got to put together in the various journals, etc. But from what I can gather, the Moors are a conglomerate of many different tribes of, I guess in a modern sense, you would say Africans. But if we take that label off, Akibalon, Imeri, Ethiopia at one point, that continent was called. And then if we go outside of those terminologies and that specific landmass, the Moors wasn't necessarily just designated and isolated in that one patch. Many people sort of can trace a lot of their mores, customs, and conquering and spreading of Islam, because the Moors are very, very intrinsically linked with Islam. But there would be people who would be surprised to know that Moors weren't just Muslims or Muslims. They were indeed Buddhist. They were Christian. Some were what people would now class as Jews, that following Judaism or Hebraic. So there was many different cultures that fell under the banner of being a more. Also, if we look outside of that clan / tribe, we had peoples who would identify these set of peoples and as a broad statement say, they're the Moors. Some of them may have not been Moors. They would have identified as something else. And then moving on again, utilizing this English language, we then started this color game thing, because prior to the term or post the term Moor, we then started to affix the term black on there. Black a Moor. We get Shakespeare, Othello, one of the most famous Moors in literary history. But again, it was taken away from, at this point, when the Black Moor came into effect within the language. This is at the decline of the empire. 1492 was the apex and the start of the decline. They went from East Africa under the banner of Islam predominantly, unfortunately as well, conquering via the sword. We can't pretty up history, but that's exactly what was taking place. There was wars and battles that took place, but there was also some very, very good things that was being done, i.e. the liberal arts being spread, mathematics, geometry, astrotheology, metaphysics. There were so many different things that were being spread across the continent of Africa, the continent of Europe. This is where we get into the Renaissance period, where we have documented evidence of bathhouses being created, of lighting systems. I mean, I'm jumping back and forth just to show you bits and pieces, but jumping back to when Christopher Columbus, aka Cologne, arrived in the Americas, he described, I think the highest was 3-story buildings. I thought this was a primitive set of Indians, Arawak Indians, Caribbean Indians, Taino Indians. They were all primitive, right? But how were they able to build complex structures as much as 3 stories with forts and citadels? This isn't what we're told, is it, guys?
I mean, I always wondered that. I was like, why are the Aztecs so much more advanced than, I would say, Native American? But you're obviously telling me that they did have buildings.
Huge complexes. You know, there's some mounds in Ohio, some huge mounds in Ohio. Those were, some of them were burial mounds, but some of them were literally citadels that have been filled in.
So those
there's
mounds,
been so much.
You're telling me that there's something under those mounds, like on the
Oh
dirt?
Yes, 100%. This is that goes back to megalithic times, when huge mounds were built for worship purposes and for burial purposes. There's a phrase: "There's nothing new under the sun."
Yep.
Nothing new.
Yep.
We may interpret it different. We can remix it, but it came from something. There's nothing new.
Well, what I believe, man, is that all this is a lie, because, again, it gets back to, why why is suddenly the Little Mermaid black? And again, this character by itself shouldn't be a big deal. Who cares? It's a fictional character. But when you study, what they're doing is they're trying to make it so you and your grandparents don't have the same data, so your grandparents can't pass on knowledge to you. So the rewriting of history allows them to come off as very powerful, okay? Because what they want you to believe is that they control everything, and nothing happens without their people doing it. In reality, they're just co-opting movements left and right. And if you take a look at African Americans, blacks, and the Irish, there's a lot of discussion that the Irish are descendants of very powerful Atlantis. There's some discussion on that. I've watched a couple videos that have some good evidence that they are from Atlantis. But if you look at how the Irish are, their culture of how we perceive Irish and how we perceive black culture in America, they're very similar. And I go, why is that? I go, because those are both very powerful people that they have demoralized and kept in high anxiety, high depression, polluted. Because they don't want them to know how powerful they are. They don't want them to come together. They don't want them to rise up. They don't want to have to deal with them. And that's the truth. But every group of people has very powerful roots. And they just don't want you to know that.
Separation, divide and conquer.
Yeah.
There is so much commonality between our different nations, and there's nothing wrong. I celebrate the nation that I come from, my heritage. You know, I celebrate being born in England. I am British in regards to citizenship, but heritage-wise, I am Caribbean. And if we can go back and use this out of Africa theory and say, yes, ultimately we all come from Africa. I go one step further. My ancestors come from every square plane, every inch of this plane of existence. So I'm from everywhere. If I land in Antarctica, I've got ancestors from there. So that's my home. This whole earth is mine. It belongs to all of us. But if we have that insular kind of, oh, well, I'm Italian and only Italy matters. Oh, Italy should matter, but the whole world needs to matter.
I agree wholeheartedly.
We are connected. We are symbiotically connected, whether you're mankind or humanity. But there is a connection. You still have 2 legs, 2 arms, your heart beats, etc. If you're not demon possessed, then it's all cool. But we are all connected, and we have a responsibility, because if we're lucky, if the Most High blesses us with 80 summers, winters, springs, falls, very short period. If we look at it in that sense, what are we going to do with that time? Because we can't just press the rewind button. We can't slide that little bar down at the bottom back to 0. We've got to live it. So through the mistakes, through the trials, through the challenges, we have to leave a long-lasting legacy. And trustfully, there are a handful of people out there who are doing something for the betterment of humanity. They're not just, oh, woe is me, I've just got to make as much money as possible, forget everybody else. It's YOLO, only live once.
I agree.
And you know what? But you know what, Sam? Sam Tripoli?
Yes.
We do only live once, in my opinion. I don't necessarily believe in the reincarnation thing. I think it's a possibility, but I don't think we literally I don't think it's like a Groundhog Day, for instance. I'm simplifying things, but I don't think it's like Groundhog Day. And, we just get back. Oh, shit, yeah. Oh, it's 7:56 again. Okay. All right, let me change it because I really want to sleep with that woman. She's fine. Okay, let me find out all about her, blah, blah, blah. I'll get slapped in the face. And he realizes through all of this power that he has within that one day, he tries to save the homeless drunk, the hobo, right?
Yeah.
That's all he's trying to do. After he tries to get the woman, he switches the goal to outside of self-gratification. I can help this unfortunate person here. And that is my goal. My goal is to get that spark into people who, listen to our type of content for a little bit of jokes. And obviously it's cool to unwind and stuff, but I want to give people more than that. I want to inspire people to really be that spark, really be that change. So Jeff in Bucktown, Idaho, he's changed in the last 6 months,
Yeah.
Buck, he's really changed, man. Like he's really focused. He's like, wow. And in a year's time, oh my God, he was working for A&TT. Now he's got a trucking company and he's happy as ever, and his wife's happy, and he's employing all these people. I want to drink what he's drinking. How did you get there into this happy place? We need to be the beacon of light everywhere we can be, whether it's being just that nice male or female who opens up the door, doesn't expect to be showered with, oh, thank you, but just being that decent human being that we all have the capability of being.
It's funny, opening up the door, that's an insult to someone.
Dude, I just had a conversation with somebody today about the importance of abundance and giving it away. And, like little things, like just, I write down every day, do 3 things for other people in the hopes and with no need for to be reciprocated. Okay. That could be holding up the door open for somebody, telling somebody, hey man, great job. Your hair looks great. Whatever it is, buying the coffee for the person behind you, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is.
I held the door for her one time. She said, no, thank you.
Hey man, that's
she was offended though.
Well, yeah. I mean, I will guarantee you that woman's miserable at the same time. If you can't take a kind gesture and be like, thank you, then you're kind of lost and you're being brainwashed. I guarantee you, if we found that woman today, she would be very not happy that someone did a kind gesture for you. I mean, like, dude, true story. I was driving around the other day. What I like to do is I like to buy a bunch of umbrellas in case it rains. Yeah. And if I'll see somebody in the rain, I'll hand them an umbrella.
Not the best city for that, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't rain a lot here, is what I'm saying. But it has been lately.
Yeah.
Shit.
So the other day it was sprinkling pretty bad. Yeah. And I drove down on Hollywood Boulevard and I saw this guy just sitting in the rain waiting for the bus. I drove around. I pulled my window down. I'm like, hey, dude, do you need an umbrella? And he stared at me. I go, do you need an umbrella? And he mean mugged me. And then the biggest smile I've ever seen comes on his face and he grabs the umbrella and says, thank you.
So
and then I drove off.
Because what you did is just so uncommon, he saw somebody coming up to him in the street. He's like, what the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, he's probably thinking I'm going to solicit him for weird shit, right?
What's he playing at? And then he realized, it's great.
Believe it or not, like now even giving $1 to a homeless, they're still pretty surprised. Like I gave $1 and he looked at me and he literally said thank you, which usually they don't give a fuck. They just look at you like, oh, thank you for doing what you usually do. And he said thank you and I was just like, damn, I haven't had a thank you because usually if you get an extra $1, just give it to him. But I think what drives me nuts is when you give them money and you go inside, you come out and they ask you for money again. Yeah. I'm like, come on, all I'm asking is just remember for 2 seconds till I get in the car. Just remember I just handed you a 20. Please. Have you ever told them I don't have cash and they're like, oh, don't worry, I have a sale?
No. But that's coming. I do think about that.
Yeah,
that's going to be a big
what's it
part.
Called? Tile or whatever. That's the thing. The swipe. Stripe.
Yeah.
I got Stripe here.
But what happens if we go cashless? How you going?
They're screwed. Yeah.
How you going to take care of homeless people?
They don't care.
The elite don't care. But
no, the elite. I'm saying the elite doesn't really give a fuck because if they did, they'd take care of them as of right now.
So let's get into some. let's go out on demonic possession. Because I believe that there, and then I want to get into, do you believe in a creator force? So I believe that everything is a spiritual war, that we are in a spiritual war. Fentanyl, as a guy who struggled with drugs, very much with speed, okay? I see these people who are tweaking. They look possessed to me. It looks like possession. I think when you do certain drugs over a certain amount of time, the more you stay up, the lower your resistance to outside forces are. And when I was in my drug abuse and I was on like websites called Pornhub, it's hypnotic. Like, what am I letting into my soul? What am I consuming with my eyes and my ears? When I'm on this drug and I'm watching this thing, we talk about a lot of these school shooters are hyped out on psych meds. And what have they been watching? What have they been hearing? What have they been told? We just did an episode where a gentleman talked about way back in the 1940s, they had a way to fuck with people. You remember that? Where he's talking, where little, what are they, jockeys who are coming into people's houses and fucking with people. So what are your thoughts on like the good versus evil and humanity versus mankind? Because again, I think there's something easy versus simple. That's why I so what's your whole thoughts on all that?
I think there's so many good people in this world. I think there's just so many. But just like with any section of the negative side that we're touching on, there's a minority which has a very huge megaphone and they have a lot of money. Now, there were, as I say, there were them evil people, but then there's a step further because, I mean, we've went through like the zombie apocalypse and we've had experimental stuff injected into people, and there's been all of this death, and it's like, okay, I know there's some wicked evil son of a bitches out there, and I know some deserve to be hung from trees and all the rest of the stuff, just to show, giving an example. Like, if you're going to do this kind of stuff, there's a consequence for your action. Like rapists and child molesters, we should be killing all those people. Sorry, if it's proven 100% and there's no flaws in regards to the investigation, there's no rehabilitation for that kind of stuff. There's no place for that stuff in this society, in this world, in this plane of existence. So we have to then look, okay, so we've got those wicked evil people, and potentially we could put something in place to get rid of those people. But then we've got something else. We've got spirits. Now, when I was young, demons, devils, ghouls, goblins, vampires and all, that's all fictional, that's scary, that's horror movies. And the older you become, the more research you do, and you research all of the world religions and then the cultures behind them, and you look at some of their folk tales and their myths, and it takes you probably 6 years, and you do all of that, and you look and you see a common thread. You see a very common thread through all of the Vedic texts, the Gilgamesh epic, or everything, the biblical texts, and you just see a creator force or multiple creator forces, and there's this one being, and it's spreading all kinds of stuff, and it speaks again through the texts of pardon self, of, as you highlighted, drug use or doing certain things to put yourself in certain states or going to certain places. And once you do that, that opens or lowers the veil, which enables spirits to inhabit your body. And I don't know exactly how it works, whether you're kind of just the passenger and you don't have any effect of what's really taking place, but something is inside of some of these people. It can't just be wicked people doing this kind of stuff. I'm just too much of my cup overfloweth to think that the people are that wicked that they're going to kill all of these people just like that for power purposes. For financial purposes. I mean, we've got trillionaires. We've got people who've got so much money and we don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
We've got the gates of hell who has so much money, a little nerd who didn't even have the intellectual property from Microsoft. He stole that stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
As you say, Sam, what are we even doing here at this precise moment? Like, what are we talking about? Come on, I mean, like this. But yeah, he gets these government contracts, Sam. He gets these government contracts, and he sells licenses. I mean, this was like a license to print money. Government contracts to sell his software into the thing. He got spanked on the hand a little bit because of the Monopoly Commission, etc., IBM and all of this stuff. And now, in like a 6-month period, he goes to the best university in the world and becomes a scientific whiz on the human anatomy, viral infections, viral loading, and all the rest of it, and starts going across the world, BBC News, CNN, Fox, talking all of this doctor stuff, and we're going to do this. And then strangely enough, I mean, It's almost like Independence Day when the aliens come down and China, the USSR, aka Russia, and Britain and America, we all come together and we create these little spaceships and we go up and kill the bad guys. They're all gone. Well, hey, Will Smith, and we're going to smoke the cigar with a little bit of weed in there. Woo! They create a Frankenstein vaccination in 12 months. But yet we've got leukemia, we've got all kind of cancers, we've got ADHD, we've got people with cerebral palsy, we got all kind of stuff going on. But yet in 12 months, they can come up with this. I'm telling you, Azazel, the people who read the scriptures will know exactly what I'm talking about. Azazel, he's one of the chief demons who came down to earth, who taught men and women a lot of different things, how to deal with metallurgy for the male, for the female, how to make herself beautiful, i.e. makeup and that kind of stuff, pharmakia. Like, there are multiple entities. You can have many different names. Like today, we call demons and spirits and all that, we call them ETs and aliens and stuff.
I totally agree with that, dude. That's I just think it's a spiritual realm, and these things that we think are out there, even cryptids to a point, could be demons or interdimensional. Who knows, man? It's interesting.
It's tricky. And I was so fascinated into, and I still am into ufology and that kind of field because it's so fascinating. But again, the more research you do, they're identifying phenomenon. But in my opinion, we just change the names. We're just using our modern sense to make sense of an old thing that's always been here. Good and evil, demons, spirits, ghouls, goblins, dragons, lizards. Dragons and lizards. What do we call those things now, guys? Dinosaurs. So there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing. So
hold on. What is your theory about dinosaurs?
They're dragons. They're the lizards of old. The word dinosaur, if we look this up, Johnny, please fact check me on this. Pull that up, young Jamie. Dinosaurs, they came out. The term dinosaurs is 19th century. It's a 19th century word. This isn't a Preolithic. This isn't an old word. This is a very new word. And pre that, they were called giant lizards. They were called dragons. George of the Dragon, a Venetian character which has been superimposed to the UK. White cloth with the red cross through it. He slew a dragon. We have Wales and their coat of arms, or not even their coat of arms, their flag is white, green with a red dragon. The soon to be king of this place, he is the Prince of Wales, Draco.
Yep.
We don't have that much time left, so I won't even delve any deeper into that. But that in itself is, again, another podcast. Draco, star system, the dragon,
I guess
royal family.
The first time the word dragon was used was in dinosaur was in 1841.
1841.
Okay, slightly correction. So we're still talking new money. We're still talking new money.
No,
That's
it is
century.
new money. That's what we were talking about in the last episode. Was about how, like, are you telling me they never do all the deep dives we've seen, deep digs we've seen from the past as they dig up like hidden civilizations? None of them knew about dinosaurs? I mean, is that what you're telling me?
Well, he's saying dinosaurs were there. They were just the lizards of the
right,
time,
but
and
they're
dragons
not. But they weren't called dragons. They don't want you to believe in dragons. They want you to think that dragons are mythical.
Mythological. Yes. It's fairies, remember? It's just fairies and pixies. Fairies and pixies and was it the leprechauns? Do you think that those are mystical characters as well? We've got to really pay attention. it's upside down world, right? It's bizarro world. It's what's that one when he wakes up and everyone's stupid and he's the cleverest person?
Idiocracy.
It's that shit. Idiocracy. It's that shit on steroids, man. Anything they tell you, just the opposite.
Yeah,
just do this. Like Eddie Bravo says, anything they say, it's the opposite.
It's funny too. They have this movement, and there has been for a long time now, to make us think that our predecessors, that our ancestors were idiots. Yeah, they didn't.
They had no technology. Yeah. They had nothing, and that just everything. I mean, like, so we'll end it on. I know we got to go in a second, but I really do believe everything is an intelligence operation. Everything we know is an intelligence operation because it hasn't been happening overnight. This has been over centuries, if not thousands of years. They have been slowly but surely. It's like somebody comes into your house and every day just replaces something. Not a lot, just a little. But if they do it over time, everything has changed.
Yes.
That's how I feel about the Mandela effect. Little by little by little things. Every day it's a new one. I watch this Mandela YouTube channel. Every day he's got a new Mandela, and every time I click on it, I'm like,
yeah,
God, what the fuck? I remember it not like that. And I don't know if it's just eventually everything's. I'm not gonna be like,
That's
dude, I don't even remember.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
It's time theft. Look at the time theft that's taking place. Can you name me a place you go to and you see a clock with hands on it, which isn't digital?
What do you mean by time theft?
They allege that there's 24 hours in a day, yeah?
Yeah.
We're in the Gregorian year of 2023. Rewind 20 years. Are you able to do what you could do 20 years ago today? In the same time frame. So, for instance, I'll paint a scenario. I would leave work at my place of business, and I would leave there at, let's say, 5 o'clock. I would make an hour and a half trip home. I would then eat some food, have a bit of a conversation with the Empress, have a shower, get changed. I would go and see at least visit 3 to 4 people, and I would be home by 11 o'clock. Gregorian year of 2023, I can only see one person, possibly 2 people.
And you better eat that dinner quick.
Hold on. What are you saying?
They're stealing time. All we have is digital clocks, tablets, mobile phones, with the settings saying automatically update for the time zone change, summer and the winter. And you look at your phone, and depending on how many devices you've got, this is a test, and this will be a test for everybody. One of your devices, take that option off, and let's see when we get to the quote-unquote Gregorian New Year Eve, and you look at your time, the time difference on your phone. I've got a phone. Let me get the phone. I've got a phone which I haven't updated since, I don't know. This is a very old phone, very old technology. So this is 32 minutes slower than the time it is now. 32 minutes. And we're talking maybe this phone's probably 5, 6 years old. And I've got a 32-minute difference.
To what? Do you have any suggestions about to what end? They're doing this. What do you think?
Because
I find that I agree with the sentiment that there's less time in a day. I feel that every day. But I'm just curious why you might think that there is. It just to keep us harried and frazzled, or is there something else?
It's to throw us off. It's to throw us off the natural
Yes.
The natural essence of who we are as individuals. Everything is timed. It's nighttime now. Like at the moment, it's pitch black. Right, so I look at my phone and it says it's 00:55. So I then go to bed after our conversation, and I wake up and I look at my phone and it says, "Oh, it's 6 a.m." And if it says 6 a.m., okay, it's time to get up. So I'm led by this. But if I get downstairs and the clock says, "Oh, it says it's 1 a.m. here," the phone says 6. That's not a digital clock. Okay, maybe I'll trust that one, because how could they manipulate it? They can shave. In my opinion, I think they're shaving off microseconds every other day or something, because it's just not adding up. It's just not adding up how we cannot utilize the day. The day is just going. I cannot keep up with the amount of work I'm doing. You know, my business life, my personal life, the podcast. There's not enough hours in the day, and there used to be enough hours in the day. So you'd be looking, look, the 95ers, you get to work at 9 o'clock, and you're looking, oh, fuck, now, man, it's only 10:30. Okay, I'll go on my break at 11. And you're just watching this clock, and you're thinking, oh, my God, it's only 12 o'clock. Flipping out.
Yeah. I mean, something's off, right? It just seems like the days are shorter and they're going faster. And then they tell you because you're getting older and a day is less time to you.
What do you think about the time change? You don't think that's really bad for us? How that one day you're just thinking they take back an hour from you? You don't think that really fucks with like?
I think that's going away.
I think that is going away.
People are fed up with that shit because I mean we didn't need that even when they were doing it really, like when when people were farming as way more in this country. But I hope that's gone.
No.
Get rid of that.
Well, okay. Final question here. Is there a creator force? And let me ask you: does CFR stand for CFR? Does it stand for Creative Force Radio?
I like it. No, it doesn't. But it's movable and it's changeable. The main acronym I generally use is Culture Free Dome, or we could say Freedom. Two different things: freedom and freeing your mind, your dome, and then righteousness.
I love it.
So I stole the Council on Foreign Relations, that detrimental organization. I thought, let me use that for some good, and let me utilize my think tank capabilities and my years upon years of research, and let me give back, because what is knowledge? Knowledge is to be shared. And if I can share just one, if someone is listening to this on the replay and they get one bit of information and they say, thanks, Noble, I can use that, or that's a piece to the puzzle which was missing, then I've done my job.
Yeah, I'm with you. So do you believe in a creative force?
There has to be. In my opinion, there is only one answer to that question, and it is yes. Because otherwise, what is the purpose of source? And then also, how do we wake up? How do we breathe independently? How do you know that the Most High is real? He's a sky daddy and all of this stuff. Okay, so how do we know that oxygen is real? How do we know that the wind blows? Because we don't see the wind blowing, do we? But it's there, right? We see the effects of the wind blowing because we see trees, or we see papers moving, dirt devils, etc. That's the force of something invisible. So again, going back to us as human beings, as sentient beings, of having a physical form and having something inside us which drives that, and then also having something on top of that, which is the intelligence which enables us to interact. So I don't think that I am anything special, that I can control my respiratory system or any other system. I don't believe that I wake myself up every day. I think the Most High gives me the ability to wake up every day. He blesses me and says, Noble, you got another day on this plane of existence. Nobody else is doing that. There's no little atoms being smashed around just randomly and creating a huge explosion. And then we get mass coming together, and then thousands of years later, we get single cell organisms breaking in half, becoming complex organisms to a tadpole crawling out of the murky mist, and then growing legs, and that makes no sense. And then our ancestors are Homo sapiens, and then we've got sapiens, then we got Cro-Magnon man, then we got Homo sapien man, then we have the frauds of the Cheddar man, the Java man, and all these alleged ancestors. And then we go back to the biggest elephant in the room. Here's the biggest elephant in the room, guys. Lucy. At one point would have been the oldest bones found in Africa. And Lucy is a hominin. She's a little monkey. That's not a human being. The Most High created us in the form we are today. We haven't evolved.
I totally agree with that.
And I don't think we can necessarily put a date on our, they say we're, man, like Homo sapien, what they call us scientifically, we haven't been around that long, etc. I put it to you, we were around when the dragons were around. We were around when the pterodactyl, the Diplopithecus, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex, all of those guys, as we call them now, we were around with little spears, doing all kind of stuff, interacting with them, domesticated them if possible. We had capabilities that we cannot even dream of today. 10% they say we use of our brain. Again, the devolution of humanity based upon this technological boom and these demons running things. We go back. We were so much more advanced physically, spiritually, and I would say we had those telepathy capabilities. We were literally at times, and certain practitioners, I would hypothesize, we were the modern day X-Men and had those type of capabilities.
Oh shit!
I think I think we definitely could get back to that as well. It just would take a complete and utter rewiring of how we operate and our spirituality and just the discipline of things that you have to do to achieve that kind of nirvana. And to be able to, I like Johnny makes fun of me, but I come from psychics. I have a lot of psychics in my family. And they have psychic abilities. They always have. My cousin was telling me more about it when I recently saw her, but Johnny smirks like a shit eater, but it's just the truth.
I have seen no evidence of your psychic abilities.
Okay, that's fine. But
it's experience. It's experience. And Sam, I would be remiss if we didn't touch on the demon possession element in regards to, because people could be walking around unaware of. And this is my opinion. This is just my opinion, because I know I have associates, I have guests who dabble in this kind of stuff. But the occult, what is the occult? The occult is something hidden. Now, people play around with rune stones. They do the tarot cards.
Yeah.
Or divinations and all that kind of stuff. And more power to those people. If it's a tool, because everything's a tool that we're using. If it's a tool for their success and for their betterment and it's helping them, by all means. Personally, I don't partake in anything like that at all. I like to, in essence, be the controller of my own destiny. I don't need to know what's happening next week. I'll look at, for instance, we're in the Mercury retrogrades. So I half expected to have a lot more, much more, even though we haven't had technical difficulties, because the last week or so, the old technicals are definitely going down. So I'm glad that hasn't happened, but it's just being aware of objects. Objects retain power. Remember the Annabelle doll series and stuff?
We've had people on the show that have talked about being handed possessed objects.
Exactly. We have to be careful of the gifts that we receive. The type of people we're around, they could be taking locks of hair, strands of hair, and working magic on you. I mean, it sounds fantastical, but there are some people who work with lesser power, which they think is greater power, and unfortunately it can manifest in the physical realm. So be very careful of who you associate with and the things that you allow to enter your presence and your home. Most importantly, white saging your house, dragon's blood, that's an excellent tool as well. It's vital to keep yourself protected. Salt barriers around your house. Like, we could really get into it, but just on a real basic level, just be real careful of gifts that you get, the people you're with, and trustfully, you won't be exposed to, that other side, that wicked side. Because again, we've got people who are going to seances or going to speak to mediums to speak to their loved ones because they're that grieved and they want to have that last conversation. And I've got experience. I know exactly, not with everyone, but I know the type of things that happen, and they can have what they think is a genuine interaction with their loved one, when in essence that's a demon who just knows what you want to hear.
Yep.
And you invite that spirit. Oh my God, that was wonderful. You can be my intermediary. Every other month I'm going to come and speak to Granddad Joe. And then Granddad Joe is slowly, obviously not Granddad Joe, it's a damn demon.
Yeah.
He's getting an anchor into your life, and then you take that anchor and now away from that medium, and you take it home, and it causes chaos totally in the home.
Yep. That's why I'm telling you, people don't understand all this demonic shit they see on television. It's like, it's all propaganda, and like, people don't realize what they're getting into. I was talking to some woman one time. She's like, yeah, my friend wants me to do some kind of demonic thing. I'm like, don't do it. You have no clue what you're letting in. Be close to everything's about separating you from God. That's what they want. Separate you from God. These organized religions are trying to separate you from God. That's why they get all these fucked up priests to do all this fucked up shit, so that you think that's God that's allowing that. When in reality, that's a disconnect from you and God, because these entities these people worship the fallen. These are all fallen angels. These are all archons, Anunnaki, fallen angels. They're all the same thing, dude. It's all the same thing. Noble, great episode. We got to have you back ASAP, buddy.
Much appreciated. A hint to the wise should be more than sufficient. Please do study to show thyself approved, because ultimately, for those who have children especially, you want to be able to go and trustfully be in the arms of the Most High and your loved ones when your time is done. But you can most importantly look back at your children and say, I did the right thing. I did as much as I could to create the place where you should be. I didn't just research all this information, listen to all these podcasts, and sit in my home thinking, oh my God, Joe Biden, he's a creepy old Joe, he's going to do this, and Alex Jones was right, I better buy one of those bumper stickers. But what are you actually doing? Get off the couch.
Yes.
And make a change. Make a real change, firstly, in your life. And the ripple effects, as Ricky's podcast, the ripple effects start to go and go and go and go. And that's where the real change is.
I agree, man. One more time, tell them where they can find you, Noble.
CFR Network is on all major podcast platforms. I'm on Twitter, the Noble 187, Noble 187 on IG, CFR News on IG. I'm pretty sure all the links will be below in the description. Trustfully, you were edutained and enjoyed our conversation, and it'll be great to be back, most definitely.
All right, we'll set it up, man. Great conversation, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a banger. It was a lot of fun, guys. If you want to support the show, again, go see Sam Tripoli. Go to samtripoli.com. Grab your dates. Reno. No, I've already done Reno when I recorded this. Los Angeles tonight. And then I'm going to be in, again, Mississippi, Louisiana, and then San Diego, California. Go grab your tickets, and please stay tuned for sneak peeks of Broken Sim, Conspiracy Social Club, and We Don't Smoke the Same, and hear about our affiliates. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim.
What up, Mr. Juicy Johnny?
Juicy
and
Johnny!
Sam, the intern Tripoli.
Yes.
It's Liam calling from Albuquerque. I'm listening to the Urban Legends episode, so maybe this will make it next week if you find the word.
It will.
I grew up in a small, and at my elementary school, in the corner of the field, like past the playground, the corner of the field, you could see a rundown church. And everyone in my elementary school said that the Bell Witch lived there.
The Bell
And
Witch.
had Bell Witch, or if she saw you had 24 hours left to live.
Fun.
Now, I believe I was a first grader, and me and my buddy, we were in the back just kind of looking for it. And
Why not?
I physically saw it, or he told me I saw it, but I saw it, supposedly. And I spent the rest of my day saying my goodbyes and crying to all my friends.
How funny is that?
I would love to know how old he was.
Anyways, keep up God's work. God bless you.
Great.
Love you.
So this dude goes around just saying goodbye to everybody, like, "Hey guys, that's all the way.
Hey, Dad,
it's over for
I just
me.
want to let you know I love you,
You've been a good dad."
and you've been a good dad. But I sold the witch, and I only got about at this point 12 more hours. So it was great. We love
So
you.
fucking funny, dude.
So the
funny.
that one was great, and the one before it, classics.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Can you write these down so we can
last thing,
we can vote on which one's the one of the year?
the best urban legend of
Hey
the year?
Sam,
Yeah.
hey Johnny, how you guys?
Can you write them down?
Well, I
Love
have
the
doing
broken
this right now.
Sim, and love the tinfoil. All right,
Thank
I
you,
think
brother.
Lots of people
Thank
do.
you. I love you.
Hey, I'm calling just to let you know that whoever came up with the nickname Juicy Johnny
Yeah, is gold.
has issues. Okay.
Oh, really?
So,
I agree.
Anyway, hi XG too.
Weird.
I forgot to tell.
Actually, he's
Yeah,
not on
whatever.
the show.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Weird.
Juicy Johnny. Who
It-
came up with that?
It's the
There's
best.
somebody in a
That's
review,
an
and Sam
issue.
likes it
Stop
because Sam's
it.
kind of weird.
Yeah, I am, but
Gotta
Juicy Johnny.
Good call. All right. That's
That
for
was
call.
it?
I mean, I have
He,
more.
he just called in to say that's not a good one.
That's it. Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
What else you got? Come at me, bro.
So I want to get into something today. Johnny, you know what I really hate? And you could say I'm a victim of this.
Racist.
No, that's okay.
You love racists?
Do I love races? No. But I also like, oh my God, it's the end of the world.
Nazis.
Do you see those two the two influencers that the DNC has? That one young kid.
That Sisson guy? Yeah.
He
Harry
went on
Sisson or
he
something?
went on Tim Dillon. Now, if you watch this
Did he
kid,
really?
yeah, if you watch the kid, he's very articulate, and you know why they got him,
That's why they picked him, man.
right? But
Can you
man,
explain what we're talking about real quick?
okay, so what happens is, and both sides do, not just the DNC.
Oh,
Bo-
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Both sides use influencers to influence their followers to support one or the other political parties. And what we've seen in the DNC is that some of their older influencers have aged out.
Here's this guy right here. Harry
Right?
Sisson.
Harry Sissy, right?
Democrat.
He's 20 years old, bro.
Yeah.
He's 20 years old.
He also put his TikTok follower count on his Twitter profile in case you didn't take his 100,000 Twitter followers seriously. He's got 600,000 on TikTok,
Yeah.
just so you know.
So he went on, him and his buddy went on Tim Dillon
Why would Tim have them on? Because of this whole thing?
because they're everywhere. And what's really funny is that they're basically getting community notes every time they post.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah.
And it's really funny. And the left is kind of losing it about that. But like, now you know how conspiracy theorists felt the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
But the difference between with me, what we went through is we were taking truth to power, okay?
Yeah.
And they were telling us we were lying when it turned out we weren't.
Right.
These guys are pushing a narrative that isn't even real and acting like they're doing it naturally and it's not astroturfing. No matter what anybody tells you, nobody's paying me to say any of this stuff.
Yeah, you're right. And you know, that was
The
one
funniest thing about this is this kid is putting out, if you go to samtripoli.com, can you go to samtripoli.com?
I just figure he probably tweets less than you, and he's like 20, so I thought I might see it here first. Here it is right here. Here's the community.
Yeah, but I also have one where like,
look at this is what you joked about. The community note was longer than the tweet.
Yeah,
which is so funny.
Mega trolls.
This is one of the smartest things that Elon did, by the way, was putting that moderation in the hands of people, like community notes, rather than making it something that Twitter did. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, again, there's a lot of things that I think I don't like that Elon Musk
Who do you know that you like everything they do? Though?
No, I don't. And anybody in, again, like we talked about on
You gotta eat some
Cash
shit to get there.
you got to play ball.
Yeah.
You just can't. I mean, like, he could own this thing, make it the purest thing ever, and then not be sold into any app stores. And then what does Twitter mean to anybody?
Nothing. Yeah. It's meaningless.
Where are they all going to go? Where's Alyssa Milano going to go? Where's she going?
That's why he bought. That's why it was smart to buy the established thing rather than doing what Trump did and starting Truth Social. Just nobody. You just can't. Once something's established, like you're always saying, it's just impossible.
Once it's a brand of excellence,
that's it, man.
It's done. Twitter is the brand of excellence for written messages, right? And links.
And I hope they can do the video thing. I really do.
Well, I'm waiting for him to do it. He's got to figure it out, but it's so funny because they had him on and like universally everyone's like, they're getting their dick kicked in on the show. The kid is articulate though. I'll give you that.
Do you buy it? Do you buy what he's saying?
No, I mean, like the things he says, like if you go to this Tim Dillon interview, maybe he put it on there. Can you go up where he shows Tim Dillon?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Give me what's the pitch for Joe Biden?
Oh man, I mean, do you want me to go down the list?
Go down the list.
All right, I won't go.
Wait. I mean, obviously it's fake. Somebody that young excited about Joe Biden, like, bro, I can't wait to tell you about Joe Biden.
Now you know why he's picked. He's extremely intelligent.
Bro, of course I can tell you about Joe Biden. He's amazing.
Detail on each one, but I think generally,
okay, go on, play.
Presidency has been incredibly successful in terms like one of the most productive presidents in modern American history, undoubtedly. The American Rescue Plan, the Parks and Safer Communities Act, the PACT Act, the CHIPS Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, rejoining the Paris Climate Accord, rejoining the WHO, historic judicial nominees, first black woman on the Supreme Court, the child tax credit,
But I mean,
capping insulin at $35
by the way,
on Medicare.
First black woman on the Supreme Court. What?
Yeah,
I mean, that's good.
I mean, but she's also like aside from that, but just putting an extremely qualified nominee on the Supreme Court. I mean,
okay, but say that. Say.
I think it's a combination of things.
Say like a first black woman who's an amazingly
I like that Tim gave himself
qualified. You know,
and we spoke, and I spoke.
Otherwise, we're just checking boxes. It doesn't seem to make sense.
Well, I've spoken to her qualifications, but what like the point is.
And here's a quick sneak peek of Conspiracy Social Club. Enjoy.
See, in 92, Haley put forth the idea of a hollow Earth. He suggested the atmosphere separated multiple shells and that each shell had its own magnetic poles with each sphere rotating at a different speed.
Let me
hold on. So the guy that was so smart, he could predict a comet to the minute, according to you.
Yeah. And Sam was like, how do you do that? Well, Sam, math.
Okay, math. But then the guy who's a master of math is wrong about hollow Earth.
Sam.
All right, guys, real quick before we're done, we want to tell you about all of our affiliates. It's a great way to support the show. As you know, fiat money is chaos. Okay, fractional reserve banking, dangerous. The best way to get out of it is precious metals, in particular, silver and gold. And that's why we're working at Wise Wolf, okay? Wise Wolf, silver and gold. Just go to samtripoli.com or samtripoli.gold and you could join. And he's hooking you up. They got great that you can either buy single time or you can sign up for their program where you can buy up to $500 a month. I'm doing it. I hope you can too. We also have everybody at Eagle Research. That's right. Eagle Research, AquaCure Mobile, Model AC50 brown gas, hydrogen brown gas. The guy who makes it says it's secure. People are using it. Check it out. Just go there, use the promo code tin foil hat, 3 words, and get a discount. Go back to the main page, Sam Tripoli. You will get, you get a discount with the promo code tinfoil. And then our good friends over at Haley Ray CrystalShop.com. Go to the promo code is Swarm 15. Get 15% off all your crystals, all your quartz, all you name it. What do we got here? Look at all this stuff. All this stuff, all the best. You can do it right there. It's all part of the best crystal shop on the internet. Jewels, bracelets, clusters, you name it. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Candles, you name it. You got it. Swarm 15. Thank you for supporting the show. We love you. And thank you so much for your support.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind. Tinfoil hack.